My former colleague said, "Your invention will never work. I'm filing my own patent for a better version." Then the patent office called him about prior art. My former colleague Steve dismissed my prototype at our engineering firm's innovation meeting last year. While I was presenting a new battery management system, he openly challenged the design. "That approach has fundamental flaws, Ryan. The thermal regulation won't scale properly," Steve announced confidently. "Your invention will never work in real-world applications." 3 months later, I left the company to develop my patent independently. Steve stayed behind, apparently working on his own superior version of battery management technology. What Steve didn't know was that I'd already filed a provisional patent application 6 months before our company meeting, documenting every detail of my original design. Last Tuesday, Steve called me with unexpected news. "Ryan, I wanted to let you know I'm filing a patent for an improved battery management system, professional courtesy and all." Steve's arrogance was breathtaking. He was essentially announcing his intention to steal my invention while claiming he'd improved upon it. "That's interesting timing," I said. "What makes your version different?" "Mine uses advanced thermal regulation that actually works at scale, unlike your flawed approach." I almost laughed. Steve was describing the exact same thermal regulation system I documented in my provisional filing 8 months earlier. "Steve, you might want to do a prior art search before filing. I've done my research. There's nothing like this in the patent database." Friday morning, Steve's patent attorney called him with bad news. The patent office had found prior art that made his application invalid. Steve called me immediately, panicked. "They're saying someone already filed for this technology. But I know this market, nobody else is working on thermal regulated battery management. Actually, someone filed a provisional patent 10 months ago with identical thermal regulation specs." "Who? This is impossible. I would have seen competing research in the industry journals." Check patent application 17,832,904, filed by R. Morrison last March. Dead silence as Steve realized what this meant. "That's your application, isn't it?" "That's my application, describing the invention you said would never work." Steve's voice cracked. "But you left the company. I thought you'd abandon the project." "I left to develop it properly without people telling me it was fundamentally flawed." Steve tried to salvage something. "Maybe we could collaborate? Combine our approaches into a stronger patent?" "Steve, your approach is identical to mine. You didn't improve anything. You copied everything while claiming it was original." The patent office rejected Steve's application entirely, citing my prior art as evidence that his claims weren't novel or non-obvious. But Steve's problems were just beginning. His company had invested significant resources developing what they thought was Steve's original invention. When they discovered Steve's breakthrough technology was actually based on a former employee's patent, the legal implications became serious. My patent attorney sent Steve's company a formal notice that they were potentially infringing on my intellectual property by continuing development. Steve was terminated 2 weeks later for misrepresenting the originality of his work and creating liability exposure for the company. Last month, his former company licensed my patent for $180,000 plus royalties to avoid costly litigation. Steve is now working as a freelance consultant, posting LinkedIn articles about the importance of thorough patent research. He reached out recently asking if I had any consulting opportunities available. "Steve, I appreciate the outreach, but I prefer working with people who develop original ideas rather than copying existing ones. I learned my lesson about intellectual property law. I should have been more supportive of your work instead of dismissive. You should have been more honest about recognizing good ideas instead of claiming they were flawed when you planned to steal them." My battery management system is now licensed by 3 major manufacturers and generating substantial royalty income. Steve's prediction that my invention would never work became expensive when he tried to patent the same non-working technology himself. Sometimes the best validation of your ideas comes from people trying to steal them while claiming they don't work. Steve discovered that patent law protects original inventors, even from colleagues who think they're smarter. The thermal regulation he said was fundamentally flawed is now industry standard, generating revenue he could have shared if he'd been supportive instead of predatory.